Welcome to the Ian Bousfield Experience. I'm glad you're here. This series of podcasts are just things that come up in my mind when I'm thinking about playing, when I'm thinking about teaching, and general thoughts about music. There are some things here that I hope you'll find really useful. And don't forget, if you've got any comments or if there's anything you want to discuss further, go to ianbousfield.com. And I have an incredibly special guest this time on the podcast. Certainly very, very special to me. Somebody with whom I have shared this planet trombonistically, and we've lived parallel lives. I've just been working with Christian Lindberg for the last few days. It's been an absolute honor and absolute pleasure. It's great to have him here. And so, Christian Lindberg, welcome to, it's not called Hard Talk, but we'll talk about some interesting things.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ian. It's a pleasure.
Great. Listen, Christian, I think most of us know the story of Christian Lindberg from the age of 17 when you started playing the trombone. Tell us about Christian Lindberg, the boy, the 8-year-old, the 10-year-old.
Ah, yes. The boy was a very, very naughty boy. I started to smoke cigarettes when I was 6 years old.
Congratulations, that's great.
Yeah, we lived on an island at summer, and my father got ill, so my mother had to leave, and an aunt was looking after me, and I was full of energy, so I was running around on this island all the time, and just started smoking. So I was sort of addicted to cigarettes when I was 9. And I was also completely addicted to the Beatles. And I knew every single song, every single word at that time of every Beatles song. So I listened to that every single day, and I just loved it. And then I started to play the drums in a military band, which I really hated. So I wanted to stop, and then the teacher said, well, Christian is talented, so maybe he should not stop. Maybe he should play the trumpet. So I played the trumpet a couple of years, also in the school band. And I just couldn't stand it. I didn't like it. But we did start a little group with a guitar player and a drummer, and me on trumpet playing Beatles songs. So that's but when I was like 12, 13, I asked my parents if I could stop to do that. And I did, but at the same time, they convinced me to go and try out for a very, very good boys choir. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that when I came there, I did the best oral test that anyone had done. So I was very proud of that. So I enjoyed actually singing 8-part choir. It was fantastic. So I did that for a little time, then I stopped. And I didn't know what to do really. I was still quite, I enjoyed being with girls. When I was 14, 15, 16, that was one of my big interests, you know. So, and then at 17, there was a guitar player. No, he played the guitar, but he also played the double bass, and his father had these old 78s with Louis Armstrong and Jack Teagarden.
Jack Teagarden.
Yeah.
All of our favourite trombone players. Jack Teagarden.
Yeah.
We all love him.
Yes. And so we decided to start this Dixieland group. And I was going to play the trumpet, but there was one guy in the school who already played the trumpet. So I thought, okay, this what Jack Teagarden does is fantastic. So I started to even before I knew where the positions were, I remember I copied his solo in Basin Street Blues.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
This was, and then I got a fantastic teacher, Sven-Erik Eriksson, and he really put me in this disciplined way of doing trombone, and it was amazing. It was just took off.
Yeah.
So that was me before 17.
Okay. Now I'm going to skip forward a little bit because you decided to give yourself 10 years to make it as a soloist on the trombone. And it took you say 9 years?
Yeah.
9.5 years. So it was close.
Yes.
Now, a lot of the people and also for people listening, I happen to know, because he told me this week, that Christian did a recital with a ruptured appendix, an infected appendix, and he had to do the concert because it was his only concert in 3 months. If he didn't do it, you weren't going to feed the family. You did that. That's the lengths that you had to go to establish yourself. Now, a lot of the people listening to this podcast are going to be young people trying to make their way as musicians. So, you know, what advice can you give to young people about determination, about sticking things through, about really making it happen? Because that's a long haul. 10 years is a long haul.
Oh, it is. It is. I don't know really, but I have something from my father. And also my brother, I think, my elder brother, is saying that never put a limit on yourself of what you can do. Let other people stop you.
Yeah,
Let other people stop you. And if they stop you, try again. Because usually, I can tell you, every single teacher except Roger Bobo, and that was late. That was in 1983. Every teacher that I went to said, "You're crazy.
Right.
You're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You are not going to make it. So please stop."
Yeah.
No, they didn't say stop, but Dennis said that. Everyone said that.
I think that's wonderful advice, because if you're not good enough, someone will bloody tell you. But, you know, so let someone else decide whether you can't.
Yes.
You go for it.
Yes, go for it.
And what advice would you have for young people suffering doubt? They're in the practice room. They think they're never going to... Because I'll tell you one thing, that all of I have over 70 students in a job, and what brings them all together is they've all told me they're never going to win an audition. Nobody believes it until it actually happens. They have these months and weeks of doubt. Now, how do you deal with doubt? Because a 10-year, really driving, really trying to make it happen, the doubt must creep in. How do you keep battling through that?
Oh, determination. Well, it's difficult to say because, as I said, it was this close.
Yeah.
This close. I mean, I'm showing now.
A very small margin.
Yeah, it's like 1 centimeter. That I just gave up. And then suddenly, in just a little while, it just took off. But there has to be a point, on the other hand, when you feel that this is not right. And it's hard to say. But I would say this. Many people think, if you think about a doctor, if you want to be a doctor, you know that you'll not be a doctor until you're 30.
Right.
Really, because you have to study. You have to study.
Yeah.
And we think that we can, if we don't get a job when we are 20 or 21 or 23, it's over.
Yeah.
I would say give yourself at least until you're 30 before you go into.
Yeah.
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 That's what I would say.
Yeah. That's great advice. I mean, Christian, changing the subject, Christian, what is an artist? And I'll tell you why I ask you this question. Because, you know, one of I've always wanted to be the best trombone player I could be. That's what I say now. When I was in my 20s, I always said I wanted to be the best trombone player in the world. Now I want to be the best trombone player I can be. That was my motivation. I love communicating. I love making music to the highest possible level. But I'm aware that sitting next to me on the couch right now is a slightly different animal. I have an artist sitting next to me. Christian, what is an artist, and how do you become an artist on the trombone? How do you use the trombone as an artist?
Well, first of all, I didn't fit into an orchestra.
Well, that's a good start, isn't it?
That's a good start. No, I was an outsider. And well, actually, it's a little bit the environment you're brought up in. A little bit like that. And I had a father who was a painting artist. So I lived that whole thing. It was all there. It was Van Gogh, it was Dostoevsky, it was Balzac, it was all these Picasso. Everything was in my life. So there were artists from when I was like 5. I remember I was given this when I was young. I was very good at drawing. So I was given, instead of giving Lego, I was giving these books of Michelangelo.
Yeah.
And I was trying to draw his horses.
Yeah. So if you want to create an artist, surround them with art. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think so. I think so. I think that's. But at the same time, it's like I honestly, even if you say that you're different, because your way into it was different, it was like an orchestra job, and my path was another. I wouldn't say it's such a big difference. I wouldn't say that, because when particularly playing with you now, when we do this barber thing together, it's amazing. I mean, we have fun.
I have to say, dear listener, we've been playing together, and I have to tell you something that you may not know, but Christian Lindberg is an incredible chamber music player. He's an incredible follower. I've played with some of the greatest second trombone players on the face of the earth. Christian Lindberg is not a second trombone player, that's clear. However, he does have the same qualifications that they do, that if I move, I was really surprised at how little I needed to show you before you went, okay, I'm coming with you, let's go. And then we start feeding off each other, which is fun. Okay. It's don't be insulted by me saying that, but to a lot of people who think you as a soloist, this going your own way, maverick thing. But you do have those real basic not basic, advanced chamber music skills, I would say, without question. And we've had a lot of fun doing that, for sure. Absolutely. So it is amazing. Now, another thing, Christian, again, slightly comparing myself, I said to one of my students this morning, you are the only trombone player I've ever played with who seems to do things the way I do, but more. And hear me out on this.
Yes.
Because I stand next to you on the platform, and all that is important to you is your ideas getting out there, absolutely. Out into the audience. Yeah. Now, and I thought I did that a lot. Yeah. I did, until I stood next to you, and I was, wow, it's like I do that, but he does it much more, and it's now. What would you say to because I very often am confronted with students who say, look, I know what you're saying and I know what I feel, but I can't get it out. How do you make that connection between the fantasy and reality?
Well, I would say maybe out of experience, because thinking about that now, I was looking at myself in this little clip from when I was 23 or 24, and I'm playing the Flight of the Bumblebee with the BBC Welsh Orchestra there, and I was seeing myself. I thought I was very, very expressive, and I see this little poor boy playing perfect, almost perfect. And I remember that time going home and said I played really expressive, but I missed all the notes. But it's the opposite. I was too concerned. Yeah. And it came to a point when I was 32. I played the Sorotsky. I was sort of completely obsessed by perfection. And I played Sorotsky absolutely flawless from the first note to the last. You could put it on a CD directly, live. Mm-hmm. And I thought, now the audience is going to go crazy. But they didn't. No. And from that day, also thanks to Sandström, who had this sense of humor and even wrote a piece where I do the mistake. Yeah. It's written in the piece where I do the mistakes. I sort of freed myself, and I understood that you have to go over the top. Yeah. And you have to take the risks. And the fact is that the more I split notes in a concert, the more applause I get. Yeah, that's a strange thing. Yeah, there's a lovely saying: if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. No, that's true. You're not trying hard enough to sort of get that out there. But I find that a lot of students are saying that they can't communicate their feelings. In fact, one said to me this morning when he played for you in a class, and he said, it was okay, but it was not what I wanted. It wasn't my voice. And I said, now hang on a minute. Let's go back to. I said, when I was your age, I don't think I had a voice, really. I was
I communicated, I played expressively, but I was some kind of like Frankenstein mixture of Dennis Wick and, I was doing impersonations of others. I said, now let's take Christian's first recording, that virtuoso, which is excellent.
Yeah,
it's very,
but
very
it's
good.
very restricted.
But it's not the Christian Lindberg
No.
that we know.
No.
It's a very good trombone player. So he didn't have his voice back then either.
No.
It takes years and
It's
decades.
it's like Roland and I, everyone talks about this first record. And Roland and I are now re-recording like the Schulich we did. And everyone said it was so expressive, it was so fantastic. And I come back and this poor little boy. And Jachadas, it's like very strict. And although everyone in the trombone world, in a way, think that was expressive. But there is always, you can go much further. You can go much further.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, but it's, of course, it comes with mistakes. Taking risks, it comes with mistakes. So there is a certain amount. I mean, there's some performances that I remember that I just hated. I remember I was very overworked, and I played in Denmark, and I played a David in Odense, which was the worst I've ever played. And that's going over the top. That's too much.
There's always a trade-off, isn't there? It's like, how much am I going to perform and how much am I actually going to get the notes?
Absolutely. Yes.
And, you do, but I've got the balance wrong in both directions, exactly like you're saying. Like the Sorotsky, I've gone out there and gone, okay, that's it, I did my job, and, and it's like, and people were like, yeah, thanks for coming, and, it's like, yeah, but I played everything, it's like, but they're not interested in that. And then there's other times where you think,
we're human beings, all of us, and you have to remember that, everyone who listens, that there's no secrets. It's a lot of hard work, and Ian and I, we work hard.
Yes,
we do work hard.
Absolutely. So. Christian, when are we going to see the next Christian Lindberg? We're not getting any younger, are we?
We are not getting any younger, and I hope that someone will take the path. And I must say, I have seen at least 12 to 15 really incredibly talented musicians who could have done it.
Potential success.
Potential. And I have supported them as much as I could to go my path. But no one really wants to, and I understand, because they don't want to go through what I did.
They don't like doing recitals with a ruptured appendix.
Exactly. And not be offended by conductors every week. That's what you do in the beginning. I mean, with the trombone. When first time I played with the symphony orchestra, the conductor said, "I will go as low as the French horn, but not lower." So he refused to play with me, whereas my agents forced me to go there anyway. So it was not easy.
Over lunch, Christian's been telling me some stories of what he was confronted with as far as, the sort of like musical racism, as it were. It's like just the absolute total outright dismissal of you because you play the trombone. And but I mean, really, Dennis Wick said to me, that guy is beating the door down. He said he is smashing the door down, and so whoever follows, the door is already open.
And I mean, when I saw your students now, and these guys, my God, when I was 20, 21, 22, as they are, I started to sort of get it when I was 23, 24. But I mean, as far as register and sort of flexibility and sound, they are very, very high level.
Oh, they're very advanced.
And with your advice, and with your coaching, and I hope we will see someone take that path.
I kind of, for a while now, have been thinking someone is going to come along to make us all look stupid.
Absolutely.
But it's not,
not yet.
I wonder if life is too straightforward or easy. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, I had nothing but the trombone, It's not quite like Arthur Pryor, who was literally in the middle of nowhere, and he found a trombone. But we didn't have the distractions when I was young.
No,
You know?
that's true. That's true.
But we all hope for it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And I put you on the spot.
There are some. There are.
There
are some out there
absolutely.
who's coming to your class.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are some. I must say, with a couple of students, I do feel quite a responsibility.
But you can't bang the. You know, one thing that what's her name? The Paris composer there.
Nadia Boulanger.
Yes,
Yeah.
Nadia Boulanger. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah.
She said to all students, can you imagine a life without being a composer?
Right.
And if they said yes, she
Yes.
said, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean,
So that question would be very smart for you to ask if someone comes up and say he wants to be a soloist. Because there's so many people writing to me, I want to be a soloist like you. I want to be a soloist like you. Okay, yeah, okay, this is what you have to do. But you should ask them then, if they say that, can you imagine a life without? And if they doubt or say yes, you're going to say to them, then you're not going to become a soloist.
Do you know, it actually happens with me the other way around. A lot of my students say, Ian, are there ever any days when you get up and you think you don't want to play the trombone? And I always say, no, there aren't. There are never. I always get up and think, great, I'm going to play the trombone. Doesn't matter what happened the night before, because sometimes it turns around and bites you, but I never fall out of love with it. And whatever was, I get up the next morning and try and make it better. And the ones I look in their eyes and they kind of go, yeah, I don't have that, you know. And I said, well, it could be a tough life for you, you know. But those people who write to you and say, you know, I want to be a soloist like you. Hey, really? Do you know what I do with young players sometimes? And I say, who here thinks that they could be the best trombone player in the world? And occasionally, the odd hand goes up, and I say it. Tell me you're going to be the best trombone player in the world. Say it. And nobody has. Because the actual act of committing that sentence into reality, I am going to be the best trombone player in the world, it's the same as say it now. I am going to become a trombone soloist. Say it. Just say that. Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, my life was for 30 years playing in orchestras was very, very clear. And when I left the Vienna Philharmonic, I left to go three ways, to teach, to play solos, to conduct, you know, that sort of thing. And what I had not prepared myself for was the vacuum. Because I had a schedule. And I fitted my other things in around. Someone had planned my life out for me. It was going to continue like this. Then all of a sudden it was like, there's a blank diary. Yeah. What not do you want to do? What are you going to make happen? There are so many different aspects to the qualifications of becoming a soloist.
Absolutely.
Are you an artist? I've gone there with you too. The artist, the determination, the ability to create work. The ability, you know, to sustain physically with the energy.
And so many times, between 20 and 30, it came with quite huge depressions at times. Because you bang your head against the wall. You know you have done this virtuoso trombone record. And you know that you won one of the biggest prizes in Scandinavia for soloists, all kinds of soloists. And you know that you can play all these concertos by memory, but no one hires you.
Yeah.
It's like depressing. And then you see people saying, well, what did we say? We told you already. Yeah. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I mean, you compared it earlier to becoming a doctor. It's not really, because if you study to become a doctor for 10 years, you're going to be. You invested 10 years of your life on a bloody hope. You know, which is, you know, for which you have my ultimate respect. You know, I think in many ways, I've had to. I wouldn't say follow in your footsteps. I don't do what you do. I never have done. Yeah. We've lived different lives, but I've gone a little bit in your direction, and that's when I thought, wow, that I have so much respect for what this guy has done, you know. And I always say when they talk about soloists, you know, there is only one. There has only been one, you know, because you sustained yourself as a trombone soloist. Before you started composing and conducting, you didn't have a teaching job.
No.
You know,
It was everything in one box.
There are a lot of people with 2 teaching jobs who call themselves a soloist.
Yes.
You know, to me, someone with 2 teaching jobs is a teacher.
Yes, yeah.
You know, you know, said the person with 2 teaching jobs.
My God.
But you know,
But you've done so much. My God, all your recordings.
I've done lots.
You've done lots
of different things. Lots of different things. But I never realised how comparatively easy my life was sitting in an orchestra. Easy from of course, it had its playing difficulties. But the actual fact that your life is sorted out for you. You don't have to think about it.
No.
So that was a huge thing. So, Christian, I'm going to move on. Briefly, we've had, my wife asked at lunchtime, so what does the future look like for you? And I just said more of the same, you know, and I got in there before you. And that is it, because you are in conductor's terms, you know, they are like in cat lives. A cat would now be 19. In conductor's age, you're now about 17, aren't you?
Yes, true. I just started to get a little grasp of what it is like. Yeah, I mean, my future is this, that during the pandemic, I felt fantastic. I really, it was something very good for me as a human being. I was doing all those things thinking that I needed to support the family. Remember that I have to support a family of 4 children and everything. And if I don't go on, everyone is going to go bankrupt. And I felt it just stopped, and I told my wife, you know, we're going to go bankrupt. And I said, you don't need to play a concert more in your life. We are all set. And then I started to slowly relax and come down and felt, my God, this is fantastic. And I started this recording company, which is the best thing I've done, I think, for young people now, because I'm going to really try and open a door for young people. That's my main interest. If the new soloist comes around, I'll be promoting him 100% on European Gramophone. And so and the other thing that I felt that I want to do is I want to make sure from now on, that I respect the fact that I'm fully booked. Because before I was fully booked for 2 years, and then people come along and inspire me to take an extra thing on, and I can do that because I was born with a lot of energy, but now I want to put a limit. So for now, my period from now up to 24 is absolutely perfectly balanced. And now I'm going to fill 24, 25, 26, 27 with exactly the things that I will be best at and serve the music world the best way.
You know what I see with you, and I think that this might be something else that, because one always looks at what is someone's greatest gift, and you think, well, what makes Christian what he is, and I look at you and you have no blocks in life. No. It's like, I need new concertos, so I need to learn how to compose. So you don't see any barriers. You just learn to compose.
No,
it's like, okay, nobody's going to publish. Okay, so we need a publisher. Fine. How do you publish? And for me, the most amazing thing is, and again, I'm always amazed at my own prejudiced view in situations, because European Gramophone, Christian, really? No, but he's a trombone player. No. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't listened to any of that stuff.
No.
And I've listened to the recordings that you've done this week of the quartet, and they're absolutely outstanding. The quality of the recordings are absolutely superb. But nobody told you've had people telling you can't do things all of your life. And so it's like, okay, who's the best sound engineer? I need to go and study with this person. Yeah. Okay, which are the best microphones? I need to get those. Right, how do I edit this? Who's going to teach me how to use this software? And you just do it. There isn't anything in your mind that says you can't do it.
No, that's true. That's true. And that's dangerous sometimes. When you have a Ferrari, it's dangerous.
It is. Well, we both.
Yeah, you have a similar quality.
I think,
I mean,
I think certainly when you're standing on a stage with I mean, we're both doing something this
my
week
God. Yeah.
where it's
trigger
dangerous
each other.
and it's difficult stuff.
it's fantastic.
If we had something in our head telling us we couldn't do it, we'd have no chance. You know, it's like because
It's like, I remember, it's for me, it's been like one of the most exciting weeks in one respect. And I remember, it's like I have a memory of Ian and me when we played back at our friend Jimmy Watson put us together.
yeah.
And he did it. He said to me, "You must play with Ian. You must play with Ian. We have to get the two of you together."
Yeah.
And he did. And I remember that like crystal clear. I remember every note and how we also adjusted like the intonation and everything. Like both of us, like
Yeah.
clicked like that. And that has been this week too. So it's. And I'm going to go home and practice the things that you can do and I can't.
Well, likewise. Listen, there's one other thing that I think, an observation that I've made that I think might be interesting to people, and that is, you know, people copy what you do. They, you know, I hear people and they copy you, but they miss the obvious. Your timing and your articulation and your rhythm. I mean, like I said, if a fly takes a crap on the page, you'll play it. You know, it's the exactitude of tempo, of subdivision, of rhythm. And there's people who come up with what they consider to be a soloistic flair without the substance. It's, you know, so anybody out listening there, go and listen to some more of Christian's, you know, recordings. Look at the score. He is so precise. Take a listen to the Grandal, which has got something written on every note, and he plays exactly what's written on every note. And then the music tends to speak for itself. It doesn't mean to say that we're computers.
That's nothing to do with it. Nothing.
It allows the music to speak.
Exactly. And then it's if people take my bad sides, I see that in there, like they shouldn't do that. They should be. Everyone should be original. Everyone should. Yeah. But there are two things in music, and that's the king of music is rhythm. The queen of music is intonation. Those two are always going to be the major part of what we do. Right. And then you can add things on that. But if the intonation is not there, and if the rhythm is not there, nothing is going to be.
Fantastic. Christian, when you've recorded your ring cycle, let's do another podcast and review it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful.
You've been great. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. If there are any issues that you found particularly interesting, don't forget to contact me, and always go to ianbousfield.com for lots more interesting stuff.